are, in my opinion, it's an improvement from the past.
Right, and of course also I would love you at some point to clarify, because I can see you're making rounds on social media, some statements you made that are deemed to be a bit inflammatory, and people wondering, is this really coming from Farah Maalim?
No. You know, people.
So it's been the transliterations there that have been given, and it seems we'll ask you about that at some point.
Yes. It's all editing. You know what I mean, and cutting and pasting and taking a word from here, another one from here, and putting it together. There's a lot of nonsense there.
Really?
And yeah. It's Somalis basically who would do that, and for other reasons. I mean, because I also weighed in pretty much on the politics in Somalia. So
you're saying it's been edited? It's not the true picture of what you say.
It's not the true picture. It's not the true picture. The one thing I said is that, look, when you have a failed state.
But you said this was an attempted coup.
In a sense, when you say that you're taking over State House, you're occupying State House, and you're occupying Parliament, two constitutional institutions that are a bedrock of the stability of the country and the democracy that we practice, which is essentially what we do every 5 years to determine who are going to be the people who will run the system. And then you come and take it over. That is a coup. There's no question about that. You understand my point? Mm-hmm. And God forbid, I'm actually trying to sound serious alarms in saying that, look, this headless sort of thing, you more or less call that it's a popular movement, it's a revolution. We've seen it in many places. And you've seen it in Sudan, we've seen it in Syria, we've seen it in Iraq, we've seen it in Yemen, we've seen it in Somalia. You understand my point? And the results are always invariably devastating. Young people are the ones who are out in the streets in Sudan calling for Thawra. Thawra, you know what Thawra is? A revolution, a revolution, a revolution. And you can bet anything. None of those children are in their homes right now. And many, many of them most likely have lost their lives. Because 2 million people have lost their lives. 15 million people have been displaced. The country is in a mess. I mean, it changes. In Mogadishu, when people started demonstrating against Siad Barre, and Siad Barre was saying, give us time, I'm going to leave the place, let us have a way of having a transition. And people say, no, we must arrest him. Mm-hmm. We must arrest him and must bring him to book. Mm-hmm. You get my point?
Yes.
It's similar to what basically they're saying, Zakayo Shuka, you know, Ruto out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that. And you know what happened eventually? Let me tell you one thing. People don't like the truth. I have always spoken the truth all my life myself. You know what happens eventually? In that same Somalia, do you know who took over? The camel herders, the cattle herders, those people out there who have never had schools are the ones who came and destroyed the urban people and took over the system. And that's what Somalia is grappling with up to now.
All right.
So basically, there is, when I say that you can show your distrust, you can demonstrate out there.
But Farah Maalim,
you cannot occupy the seats of government.
Yes. So let me but and ask you.
Yes.
So you say that if you are the president, and God forbid that you are not, this were your words.
No.
That you'll have slaughtered 5,000.
Listen to me.
5,000 of the Gen Zs?
No. Let me tell you, our children were there. You listen to me carefully. And it's a bit of nonsense. There's quite a bit of that editing. Mm-hmm. You understand my point?
Yes.
And a lot of nonsense. That 5,000, hang on a minute. That 5,000 was more or less in line with what I said when there was a book being launched. And the book itself was launched by the chairman of the former electoral commission just across the border on the other side. And I told them, listen.
So this was in Somalia?
Yeah, of course. This is all talking about Somalia. This whole thing, nonsense, is basically put together one way or the other to try and give that thing. It's a lot of that editing, a lot of copying and pasting and the rest of it. But I can tell you one thing that I will always stand by.
So you didn't say that you will slaughter 5,000 of the Gen Z?
No. I said, anytime these things were attempted, there was a serious slaughter. Very, very serious slaughter. And it happened in Sudan, it happened in Somalia, it happened in the Yemen.
Hey, just a moment.
It happened in the Yemen, yeah? It's happened everywhere where an attempt was made to try and forcefully take over the seats of the government and institutions. Mm-hmm. And those countries do not even have the working democracy that we have. You understand my point? You didn't have those working democracies. You know, right now, the one reason that Donald Trump would not, in a sense, likely be barred by the Supreme Court is because of being seen to have supported Occupy Congress that time. I don't know if you remember that. You see, you can't do that. So basically what I'm saying is that we can demonstrate, we can show our disgust, we can show everything, but let us we are a constitutional democracy, by the way. Let me tell you one thing. The business of trying to use anarchy and chaos and the masses out there to try and create a revolution does not go down very well anywhere. It never succeeds. At the end of the day, you have a failed state, and when you have a failed state, it's a free-for-all. And me and you, listen to me carefully, me and you and our brothers here would be the first ones who are going to run away from our own homes, because they'll be taken over by young people who are most likely dropouts in schools and the rest of them, rural folks. So what I'm basically trying to say is that, look, let us keep on engaging in the dialogue that we engage in. Let us keep on talking about the future and the rest of it. Let us express everything, but allow the instruments of what do you call, of democracy and the Constitution to work itself. Let's have a peaceful transition.
All right.
You understand my point? But to say that we will occupy this, occupy that, is in my opinion, it's a coup.
But what do you do with a state that does not listen? No matter what petitions you use, you come up. What is the wisest of fashion to actually raise your hesitation and protestations?
That always happens until you wait and you give it a resound. Look at what happened in the UK right now. Rishi Sunak was there. You understand my point? From being a party
we're diametrically different from the
No.
UK. In terms of democracy.
No, we have a similar democracy. We started the Westminster, we got into the executive one, but we have also had a democracy, a form of democracy. It might have not been as perfect as it is in other places. But